What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Motorfest. So in today's video, I do want to go over the best way to max out the hypercars. And I would probably say a lot of people are most likely going after maxed out sets. Now, before I did actually do the racing class video before, I will also be doing the street tier 1 and tier 2 basically together. Also, do let me know in the comments below if you guys would like me to check out like a different class, but I have basically covered most of these to max them out as quickly as possible. That way you guys can be ready for most of the summits that do come up in the future, and I really do think this game really is going to have a lot more players, definitely coming up here soon, but getting a maxed out set on the hypercars is probably going to be at least one of the easier ones compared to the others. Currently I actually have a few sets on it, so I do have the Fame Magnet there. On this one I will also be having a lovely score breaker, which I definitely recommend going after at least one of these for one of the main vehicle classes here in the game. That way you can do most of the summits that actually come out with them. Funnily enough, guys, you can basically do most of the summits with it, and I would say having a scorebreaker set is by far insanely useful, but I also have a loot digger set here, which funnily enough I did not actually get to way later on when I basically did finish the class up. So I would say, guys, you can easily get nitro chemist sets without a loot digger. It is most likely going to come down to like the overall RNG in this game, which is kind of interesting to say the least. I will also be doing a video here soon going over the Loot Digger set, so definitely stay tuned for that. But I also have a Nitro Chemist set here, which is of course going to be Extra Pump and Pure, which is by far my favorite setup right now. I will also be doing a video on that in the near future, guys, so definitely stay tuned. But besides that, I'm basically working on trying to get more sets done. I'm also still missing a tire part here to get a second Chemist set. I do not understand why I cannot get a tire part, my goodness. And then of course I'm also working on trying to get a buck set here to really see how much money you can actually make from many of the events. Now when it does come to maxing out the hypercars, I would probably say it's going to be pretty similar to the racing category, where you can basically do many of the different events around the entire map, because most of the events in the game you obviously can run basically every class in them, so I would say it is going to be a great mix-up overall to actually max the classes out. But the big question is there going to be a said set of events that can actually get you maxed out quicker, but would also be a better experience? Now for the hypercars, if you do not want to mess with AI, I would actually recommend doing races like the Vintage Garage playlist. Something like Mustang Sally, even the other race that's over here is going to be great options. That way you don't actually have to mess with the AI if you don't want to, and you can easily get maxed out part sets by just doing those set events. For me though, I was having a great time running the hypercar, so I was like, you know what, let's go jump into many of the other events like the Palm Springs Riot, which by the way, I absolutely love this race, guys. I would definitely recommend doing it. I did mention in the racing video though that yes, you are obviously going to be on level 5 difficulty for the extra XP, but we all do know the AI are most likely going to be insanely fast though. Even with a maxed out gold set, guys, they're still going to be with you most of the event, and even depending on the race you're actually doing, I did notice they can be kind of annoying to actually pass, so do keep that in mind when you guys are obviously doing the events. But some of the other events I also grinded out, guys, are going to be part of the Liberty Walk playlist here. So yeah, the peak performance is going to be a great overall event. I would say a lot of people might not be the biggest fans of these races because of the AI, but I really did find them to be insanely fun to do. Also, the Elite Nation's also great. This one is going to be around 3 to 4 minutes long though, so it is going to be a bit longer of an event, which is also going to be a good thing because you get more parts. And then you can also do other events like the Global Nation here, which is indeed going to pay a decent amount. Do keep in mind, guys, normally the more money you get, you obviously are going to be racing longer. I would also recommend having one of the clean modifiers active. That way you can make as much money as possible when grinding out these classes. And then heading over to the middle of the map here by Wahiwa, you can also do races like the Jackson V8, even the other Liberty Walk race, which is the pure performance. Do keep in mind though, this is going to be a pretty long event, being around 4 minutes similar to the other one. So at least you might be racing a while, you can actually get a lot more parts that way. And I would say it is going to make it pretty dang fun overall, but one of the main races, guys, you can also grind out if you don't want to deal with the AI, and you're also looking for an insanely fast event, is of course going to be the Hummer E Express, which I would say is going to be many players' favorite for grinding out many of the different classes. One of my other favorite events, guys, I also grinded out with the racing class, is going to be here at the Bounty of Iwa, and also the Custom Nation is going to be a pretty fun event. And then one of my favorite events you can actually complete is going to be here pretty close by to Honolulu, which is also a Liberty Walk event. The Masterworks race here, guys, is going to be an absolute blast. And with a hypercar, you can do this in like 3 minutes, so it's also going to be pretty dang quick overall. The big thing here is you obviously will have to go against the AI, but luckily I would say you can normally pass them around the first to second corner. Now, I do have to admit, guys, you can also do basically any of the main events around the entire map, like even in the Lamborghini playlist. You can even head over and do many of the Made in Japan playlist events as well. And I would say that's going to mix up like the overall grind with going after some of these sets. They are obviously going to take hours to actually get them. And I would say mixing up like the races is probably going to be the best way to do it. Now, I have to admit though, going after many of them, you are most likely going to repeat many of the events, but I would say mixing them around and doing like a bunch of different races, like for example, when going after maxed out parts, since I basically did a lot of different events basically back and forth, I would do something like a Liberty Walk race, then jump into like one of the like Made in Japan playlist events, and then of course do like one of the Hawaii tour races, and then head over to something in like the American Muscle Tribute, and basically keep going back and forth to actually mix up like the overall gameplay. What I would say is going to be good about this though is that way you actually get maxed out parts a bit better, and I would say going after or doing like the exact same event for hours is most likely going to mess you up, especially with grinding. I would also know because I have been doing this with other classes like the planes and also the powerboats as well, so there is definitely going to be like a grind fatigue there. Luckily with the hypercars, even like the racing category, you really don't have to do the exact same event over and over. Besides all that though, guys, I would say the biggest thing here is to most likely find a good sequence of events that you do enjoy. That way you can actually go back and forth to them and most likely go after sets that way. You could honestly go through like all of the Liberty Walk races, at least most of them for that matter, and then head over to something like the Hawaii Scenic Tour, then go into like the Made in Japan playlist, and then after that even jump into like a vintage garage event, of course dodging the annoying AI for a bit, which is obviously going to be a plus. That way going after these maxed out part sets isn't going to be the worst experience overall when mixing around the gameplay. I would like to know in the comments below, by the way, which class have you guys had the worst RNG with? I will also be doing a video on that here in the near future when I finally have a Nitrochemist set on every class.